And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes. Having a good Wednesday? I hope. We got some pretty interesting news in NBA 2K22, my team, that I wanted to cover first before we go and have some fun on stream here. You know, if you're not already following the Twitch, you should definitely do that, twitch.tv/cheapludes, which, you know, if you're watching this right now, you're here already, so it is what it is. But alas, my team dropped the first bit of news. I want to say my team. I keep referring to the devs that work like on my team as just my team, which I mean is probably a bad practice, but it is what it is. 2K has dropped the first tease of NBA 2K23 my team, which I think is huge. It is. I thought they were going to drop some absolute bullshit, to be honest. When they said they were going to, oh yeah, retweet for a sneak peek of tomorrow's my team news, I was like, it's probably going to be whack. No, they dropped something pretty huge. And the response to it has been very varied, so I'm kind of interested about that specifically. So what they have dropped is that contracts are no longer in the game. No more contracts. No more of these stupid cards anymore. No more 3 games, no more 4 games, no more 5 games, no more unlimited contracts. No more contracts, period. Contracts are gone in 2K23 my team, which is, I gotta say, phenomenal. I couldn't be happier. I've been asking for this for years. I think contracts are the most outdated, stupid thing that 2K puts in the game. And I understand why they do it too. It's to limit the amount of MT, right? Hear me out. Because if you have to actually pay in contracts for every single game that you play with your cards, you're going to either do the quick buy contracts, or you're going to go buy contracts off the market, depleting your MT faster, which is why they have them in the game. I mean, that's why contracts were initially put into these card modes in the first place. My team was the only mode that had contracts still for the last at least 2 years. It could have been longer, but I know for a fact since 2K20 era, they were the last major card collection mode to have these contract features. Now, the response to this has been relatively as expected, which is most people are really stoked about this because this is good. Look, if I spend, I don't know, man, let's go with one of my invincibles, for instance. Like when I bought T-Mac, dude, let's use T-Mac as an example, right? I spent 1 million MT on this card. That was stupid, by the way. Don't ever do that. That was dumb. He got supplanted like weeks later as like one of the best shooting guards in the game. It was despicable. I shouldn't have done that. But if I spend that much MT on a card, if I get lucky to pull this card from packs, I should not also have to keep adding cards to it just to use the card, right? That's a fact. And the community's been very varied as far as the response. Like, I've seen a lot of people who are, like I said, hyped, which is good. This is a W, big W's from 2K, which I don't know what about big W I just don't like. It's just like, when I see someone say big W and 2K in the same sentence, I'm like, it sounds bootlicky to me. Sorry, dude. It'd be like if I rolled up and I'm like, yo, big W's to the cops for not shooting people this week. That's kind of what it's like to me. So I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just overreacting, but it is what it is. Either way, though, I think it is, as they say, a big W. Now, there are a certain subsection of people, and I have to assume that it's mostly market guys that are like this. I don't know. I've seen a few people say stuff that's kind of more along the lines of like, oh, yeah, this is bad. This is an L. Like, they took away another way for us to make MT. And I do not agree with that sentiment at all. I really don't. I mean, look, it's 2K, so they're going to find another way to monetize. Like, for sure. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not going to replace contracts with anything that limits games, but they're going to find another way to monetize, right? Where they would have lost even just a tiny little bit of monetization from contracts, they're going to find another way to do it. But anybody who's been opposed to this has just been mostly one of the people who would really like to use contracts and likes to use contracts to make MT, right? And look, I do understand it to a certain perspective, because if you look at last year, when they changed the kind of shoes in my team, I think that was a huge L. Like, it just made it so much more complex to get the monetary value for your shoes that you had prior. Like, in past years, you could just quick sell your golds, your silvers, your bronzes for a decent little bit of MT, and you can make a good amount of MT after you stored up like enough of them. This year, they kind of made it harder to do that. I mean, you can essentially do the same thing, but you got to sit there, you got to go to the MT shoe lab, you got to create a bunch of gold, silver, bronze shoes with shoe boost just to quick sell them. It's dumb. So I understand the concern when it comes to contracts, because what if they decide to change it to something else that's like really annoying and it ends up not being as big of a W as we think? There's entirely possible. There is the possibility that they straight up tie contracts into shoes, which would be super fucking jokes, dude. I'm preparing for the worst. Like, I'm preparing to read the blog tomorrow and see something like, yeah, there's no more contracts. It's actually just shoes now or something. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that's not the case, but there's always the possibility that it is. Now, as far as what we're going to see tomorrow, I'm not going to speculate too hard on what we're going to see in the dev blog. It's like 16 hours or something away. I just made that number up. I actually don't know how many hours away it is. It's like 5:50 right now. It comes out at 10 in the morning, so I don't know. I'm not trying to do math. Either way, I think it's 17 actually. No, it's like 16, dude. I was pretty on point with that one. Shout out to me. But at the same time, no point in speculating, just something that's, less than a day away. But I do expect to see some news about clutch time. I would love to see like an offline clutch time option. I would love to see a rework of Unlimited. Not the 12-0. God, not the 12-0. Please, nobody ask for the 12-0 again. It's horrible. It's horrible. As it says in the chat, there's also the possibility that 2K makes it VC to use cards, which is not good, but also possible. But I see another thing in the chat which makes sense as well. What if it's like gear cards or strategy cards making a return? Very possible. The real question is, what are they replacing contracts with? I still think it's going to be what they say. It's going to be like, you're not going to have to do anything to play games with this Shaq here. Like, this Shaq you'll be able to use this card unlimited times the minute you get it. But the question is, what is going to be the next pack fodder? It's possible they put strategy cards or something back in here. You know what I mean? It is what it is, though. I mean, I guess we'll find out tomorrow. I don't really know. But I'm hoping to see some more My Team news. I'm hoping for a rework, like I said, of Clutch Time, Unlimited. And honestly, I hope they do a rework of the Exchange as well. I think the Exchange, in theory, is decent. I think it's not terrible. I just wish they would kind of tweak it a little bit. I really do. I'm hoping for an overhaul in draft mode, too. Like, at the bare minimum, just make it a little bit more worth it or make it easier to play. You shouldn't have to use VC to play a draft, right? Or grind for fucking tickets. You should just be able to play draft mode. That's it. Honestly, I don't really care what they do with Unlimited. I'm not going to play it anyway. Like, it doesn't matter. They could change it to, like, Supermax formula or Road to the Playoffs. Like, because 2K is the kings of just reversing things. They're like, oh, we did something like 5 years ago. Let's just throw it back in the game. You know what I mean? But the Exchange and draft, dude, desperately need a rework. And I would like to see them go back to the 2K20 style of challenges. Like, if we could get the spotlight challenges that we got early on in 2K20 back, like I'm talking about the Giannis ones, the Jeremy Lin ones, you know what I'm talking about, those, that would be great. I would do anything for those. Those challenges were hard, but man, they gave me something to do, so I really like those, especially in that weird time period between like December and February, where it's like not too many people are playing the game yet, but there's still like a pretty big player base searching for things to do. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. But either way, contracts being gone, huge dub. Huge W until they replace it with something that's worse, which is entirely possible. So we'll find out, I guess.